A very good evening and a very warm welcome to the national broadcast. I'm Mausha Dharmavardhana.
And I am Dishan Veerakone, and for starters, let's take a look at your headlines for tonight. The Sandahirusaya in Anuradhapura is vested with the Mahasangha. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa completes 2 years in office. Religious observances held across the country to invoke blessings on the birthday of the Prime Minister. A nearly total lunar eclipse is set to occur tomorrow.
On to those and other stories in detail now, starting with your local stories. Today is Il Full Moon Poy Day, which has recorded many important events in Buddha Sasana history. It is also identified as the month ending the Katina robe. The history states that it's on a day like today that the Buddha launched his first Dhamma service. It is on an Il Full Moon Poy Day that Maitri Bodhisattva received Nitya Vivarana and Buddha arrived at Uruvel Danawa to meet the three Jatila brothers and passing away of Sarayut Maha Arahat Thera. The Katina robe puja also ends on Il Full Moon Poy Day. The 216th Dhamma Sermon of Amadam Sisila series, which is organized on each full moon Poy Day, was held today at the temple trees under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Dhamma Sermon was delivered by the Agga Maha Pandita Venerable Professor Kotapitiya Rahula Thera. Sattharma Varsha Poy Day religious programs were live telecast on national television throughout the day from Kalutara South, Sri Bodhiraja Viharaya. The religious programs were telecast following quarantine regulations and health guidelines.
Now, the Sandahirusaya built at the Anuradhapura sacred site was vested with the Sambuddha Sasana today. It was held with the participation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The construction of the Sandahirusaya, symbolizing the victory of the nation by eradicating the LTTE terrorism which lasted for more than 3 decades, was commenced in the year 2010. The Sandahirusaya was erected in the memory of 27,000 deceased war heroes and more than 37,000 war heroes with disabilities. Defense Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne and commanders of the Tri-Forces welcomed the President and the Prime Minister for the ceremony held to vest the Sandahirusaya with the Mahasangha. The unveiling of the crest gem of the pagoda was conducted with the participation of the President and the Prime Minister amidst the Pirit chanting conducted by the Mahasangha. The first floral offering to the pagoda was conducted accordingly. Subsequently, the shrine chamber of the Sandahirusaya site was opened. Offering of jewellery to the sacred relics kept at the shrine chamber was held with the participation of the Mahasangha. The Dolos Mahe Pahana at the Sandhirusaya site was illuminated with the participation of the President. Subsequently, the reading of the epistle to vest the Sandhirusaya to the Mahasangha and appointment of a trustee board for the sacred site under a cabinet paper was conducted. The relevant epistle was presented to the President by Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunratna. The President presented the epistle to offer the Sandhirusaya to the Mahasangha to Chief Incumbent of the Atamastane, Venerable Pallegama Sirinivasa Thera. The illuminating of the Sandhirusaya site was conducted with the participation of the President. Subsequently, the first Gilampasa Puja to the Sandhirusaya was offered with the participation of the President's spouse, Mrs. Ayoma Rajapaksha, and the Prime Minister's spouse, Mrs. Shiranshi Rajapaksha. The religious observances related to the Gilampasa Puja was conducted by Venerable Uduve Dhamma Lokathera. Deputy Chief Prelates of the Malvatta and Naskiriya chapters, ministers and parliamentarians and security chiefs were present at this religious ceremony. In the meantime, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksha made these remarks while addressing the religious ceremony to offer the Sandhirusaya to the Mahasangha. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksha said that he took part in this ceremony with much enthusiasm as this pagoda has been built by war heroes in the name of war heroes. He said that he was joyous when he had to take tough decisions on behalf of the nation, and those decisions have become fruitful. The Prime Minister said that he experiences an immense joy than those moments after fulfilling this virtuous activity. He then said he wishes that the virtues in worshipping this pagoda would invoke blessings on the war heroes who sacrificed their lives and limbs to bring peace to the country, as well as those who had succumbed during the war-torn period. He said that the foundation stone was laid to build a pagoda for the war heroes following the conclusion of the humanitarian operations. He said that he remembers how certain battalions transformed artilleries into Buddha statues immediately after the conclusion of the humanitarian operations. The Premier said that thousands of youth have been released upon rehabilitation at present. He said that during his tenure as the Prime Minister, they had to take permission to travel to the restricted northern area, which reflected as a separate authority, a separate country. Therefore, at that point, he said that he decided to take upon a path to free the nation. The Prime Minister said that they had a firm belief and trust over the tri-forces comprised of the children of the nation. He pointed out that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa assumed the Defence Secretary position during that period. He further said that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, together with the country's security chiefs, was able to fulfill the responsibility in bringing peace to the nation by guiding the security forces on the right path. He said that in his belief, if there is no trust on a country's security force, then there is no guarantee over the national security of the country. He said that the Sandhirusaya symbolizes the humanitarian efforts fulfilled by the nation's war heroes. While making a wish over the newly built Ranavirusaya, the Prime Minister said that such devastation should never occur in the country in the future.
The 76th birthday of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksha, who has made an indelible mark in the history of Sri Lankan politics, falls today. This is a short profile of the Prime Minister who has been appointed to the premiership of the country on 4 occasions. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa entered into politics in year 1967 following the demise of his father. He was elected to the parliament for the first time in the year 1970, representing the Beliatta electorate. He was the youngest member in parliament at the time. The young parliamentarian carried out significant activities in 1988-1989 era. He rose against state terrorism which prevailed during that time. Mahinda Rajapaksa was re-elected to the parliament in 1989. He had played a pioneering role to end the 17 years of rule of the United National Party. He was instrumental in organizing protest campaigns including Janagosha and Padayatra. The outcome of these efforts led to the formation of a Podujana Eksat Peramuna regime under the leadership of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party in 1994. He successfully steered ministries such as Labour and Fisheries in the Podujana Eksat Peramuna administration. Subsequently, he functioned as a leader of the opposition. In the year 2004, he was appointed to the post of premiership in the country. Mahinda Rajapaksa was sworn in as the 5th executive president of Sri Lanka upon victory of the presidential election in the year 2005. He succeeded in bringing peace to the nation by ending the 30 years of war. President Mahinda Rajapaksa secured a landslide victory in the presidential election held in year 2010.
අපි ජීවත් වෙලා ඉන්නකම් අපි ඒකට ඉඩ තියන්නෙත් නැහැ. අපි ඒක නිදහස් කරලා තමයි ආපස්ස හැරෙන්නේ කියලා අපි තමුන්නාන්සේලාට මතක් කරන්න ඕන. සමත සමානව සිතන රජේ නොමිනිස්කම් රජ කිරුළු පළඳිනා නොමිනිස්කම් රජ කිරුළු පළඳිනා තොරටු වසාලන නායකයේ අපට අහිමි අවදි කරනු මැන හැම හදවත් තුල පළමුවත් මට වටින්නේ මගේ මව්පිය. දෙවනුවත් මගේ මව්පිය. තෙවනුවත් මගේ මව්පිය. ඔබටත් මුළු මහත් ජාතියටත් එසේ විය යුතුයි. නැගී සිටින්නට අත දිගු කරන පියෙකුගේ මහා නායකයෙක්. නැගී සිටින්නට අත දිගු කරන පියෙකුගේ මහා.
Consequently, the country embarked on a new journey in realizing the nation's development era. The Prime Minister, who brought in the revolutionary change in the country with massive developments, including expressway projects, was able to uplift the country as a developing nation while increasing the per capita income. Although he was defeated in 2015 presidential election, he returned to serve the nation with the persistent pleas of public. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, under the leadership of Mahinda Rajapaksa, recorded a massive victory in the local government poll held on February 10, 2018. For the first time in the country's history, a new political party was able to claim more than 70% of the local government institutions. He was elected to the post of opposition leader for the second time in January 2019. In his capacity as opposition leader, he rallied the people to topple the United National Party government. These actions paved the path for the victory of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, representing the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, to emerge victorious at the presidential election held on November 16. 2016-2019 with a mandate of 6.9 million votes. Following presidential election victory, Mahinda Rajapaksa was appointed as the Prime Minister of the caretaker government. Subsequently, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, led by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, was able to clinch 145 seats in the parliament at the recently general election. Mahinda Rajapaksa contested the general election from Kurunegala district and received 527,364 preferential votes, recording the highest preferential votes received by a candidate in a parliamentary election. A significant characteristic of the 20th constitutional amendment was the relegation of the prime ministerial powers to the president. Through this action, he had entrusted history as the only leader who has renounced the authority by a constitutional amendment. Mahinda Rajapaksa has remained the permanent symbol of stability in Sri Lankan politics for more than a half-century. He has brought many victories to the country during this period. The era of Mahinda Rajapaksa is regarded as a golden period of Sri Lankan politics.
Now, today marks the completion of the second anniversary of a government which has overcome many challenges. Now, this is a brief feature on the second anniversary of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's government, which directed the country on a new course and a firm leadership not second to the heroic task of ending 30 years of war. The Easter attack has reignited fears of terrorism 10 years after the dousing of the flames of brutal LTTE terrorism. The conflict of opinion among leaders of the then government paved the way to destabilize the country. Under such circumstances, the public plea was for the emergence of a stable state leadership. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna has been successful to create a leadership that enables to fulfill this challenge. This has reflected the wishes of all groups patriotic to the country. 6.9 million voters place the responsibility of directing the motherland towards victory, overcoming the challenges of weak national security and a bankrupted economy on Gotabaya Rajapaksa. He took the forefront to discharge responsibilities amidst criticisms of previous rulers by swearing in before the Ruwanwali Mahasaya. Swift measures were taken to prevent wastage of funds by cancelling unnecessary ceremonies at the commencement of Parliament sessions. For the first time, an ombudsman was appointed to the President's office, allowing the general public to directly present their grievances. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa initiated the Gamasamga Pilisandara dialogue program, a methodology to look into shortcomings of the rural areas by visiting those areas. The Department of Prisons was subjected to a complete reformation. The President also fulfilled the pledge given to the people in safeguarding their security by taking measures to eliminate criminal operations carried out by drug racketeers and underworld originating from prisons. The Police Special Task Force was entrusted with the task to conduct raids and prevent criminal activities and drug dealings. The Presidential Task Force was established to create a safe, disciplined and a law-abiding society. The program to select poor families deprived of houses was initiated with the construction of 14,000 houses for the poor in each Grama Seva division. This program has now reached its final stage. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa inaugurated the program to reconstruct 100,000 kilometers of rural roads, a project which has been suspended for 5 years. In addition, steps were taken to provide 150,000 drinking water supply connections. The daily wages of plantation workers were increased by 1,000 rupees, fulfilling a pledge made in the Vistas of Prosperity policy statement. 150,000 job opportunities were provided for low-income earning groups and unemployed graduates. Acceding to the request of the people, steps were taken to provide permanent employments for another batch of 10,000 graduates. Measures were also taken for speedy reconstruction of 5,000 reservoirs throughout the island, according to ancient and modern scientific technologies. The government, as a short-term project, prepared plans for 70% of the electricity generation through renewable power sources under the guidance of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The promotion of the use of organic fertilizer is another pledge made by President Rajapaksa to the public prior to the election. Amidst many challenges, the programs to direct the farmer community towards organic cultivation are currently underway. This move will record in the country's history as a heroic decision taken to safeguard the security of the future generations. Also, a minimum certified price of 60 rupees was declared for a kilo of paddy in the Maha season. The relevant setting to create a farmer family with a strong economy was facilitated instead of the farmers who resort to suicide without being able to pay the agrarian loans. The president was able to obtain the COVID-19 vaccines to Sri Lanka through international relations as an excellent state leader. Currently, those who are above 60 years of age are receiving the booster dose of the vaccine. Marking a new milestone into the roadmap for prosperity, infrastructure development projects are underway covering every part of the country. Also, 100 cities will be developed based on the green concept. The project to provide a national school for each divisional secretariat division has also been commenced. 100,000 kilometers of rural roads are being renovated at present. The construction of the suspended Central Expressway has resumed and expedited under the instructions of the President, and the Meerigama Kurunagal section will be vested with the public in the near future. The construction of the new Kalani Bridge in Paliagoda has also been completed. The construction of 5 new flyovers was also commenced on the same day. It is the President's aspiration to complete all the development projects in the country and provide those benefits to the nation, even amidst many challenges, including the global pandemic.
All religious observances were held at various religious establishments across the country today, invoking blessings to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa on his birthday. The annual almsgiving for mothers at Abhayarama Vihare in Narahempita was held this morning to invoke blessings to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Pinkama was held coinciding with the birthday of the Prime Minister. The event was organised under the guidance of the Vice Chancellor of the Colombo University, Chief Sanganayaka of the Western Province and the Chief Incumbent of the Abhayarama Vihare, Venerable Muruttettuwe Anandathera. After engaging in religious observances, the Prime Minister obtained blessings of the Mahasangha amidst the chanting of Jayapirita. Thereafter, meals were offered to the mothers who were at the event. Mother Indu Pereira of Kolonnawa conducted Pattinimani Puja. The event was held for the 19th consecutive occasion. Mahasangha Prime Minister's spouse, Mrs. Shiramti Rajapaksa, Ministers Gamini Lokuge, Nimal Siripala da Silva were present at the occasion. Another special religious observance was held on behalf of Prime Minister at Dehiwala Jumma Masjid. This event was held with the participation of Minister Ali Sabri.
Now, Minister Uday Gamanpilla says that the reports claiming that a power interruption would occur following the suspension of crude oil imports are baseless. Now, he made these remarks during a media briefing held in Colombo today. Minister Uday Gamanpilla said that the importation of crude oil was suspended in an effort to use the country's foreign exchange in an apt manner. He said that the nation should be satisfied with the efforts taken by the government for ensuring continuous fuel supply in the country amidst many challenges, even when the powerful nations in the world have been faced with an energy crisis. He said that a barrel of petrol and diesel is at $93.65 for direct importation. However, he said that the cost to produce petrol and diesel from crude oil imports in the country would be $197 per barrel. Therefore, a decision was reached to directly import petrol and diesel instead of crude oil to protect the existing foreign exchange in the country. He added, the ministry further said that the Ceylon Electricity Board is not purchasing fuel oil for production purposes, even though the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has 13,500 tons of fuel oil in stores. Therefore, he said that the reports claiming that a power interruption would occur following the suspension of crude oil imports are baseless. Now, the initiative to fill the main tunnel of the Broadlands hydropower project with water was held today. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa took part in this event via online technology from the temple trees. This is the final hydropower plant of the Laksapana complex. This 3.5 kilometer long tunnel has been laid up to the power plant in Kalukahutanna, Kitulgala from the dam built across the Maskeli Oya in Polpitia. This project is expected to provide an annual power supply of 126 gigawatt hours to the national grid. $97 million has been estimated for the project. China's Industries and Commerce Bank, People's Bank of Sri Lanka and Hatton National Bank have provided the necessary financial assistance for this project. Ministers Gamini Lokuge and Ali Sabri, State Ministers Duminda Disanayaka and Sendil Tondaman, General Manager of Ceylon Electricity Board M.R. Ranathunga, Deputy General Manager Noel Priyantha and Project Director H.M. Vijayakon were present at this occasion.
Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Peris called on Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at her office in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Minister Professor Peris briefed the Prime Minister on Bangladesh on Sri Lanka's success on containing the COVID-19 pandemic and on a wide range of current issues. Particular attention was paid to progress towards a preferential trade agreement, in respect of which negotiations at the official level have already commenced, and cooperation in the field of shipping. The Prime Minister described the Minister Professor Peris' initiative taken by her government to embark on an extensive digitalization program and to enhance the disposal income of farmers. Increased airline connectivity between Colombo and Dhaka and tourism sectors were also discussed. Minister Professor Peris in Dhaka to assume the Vice Chair of the Indian Ocean Rim Association at the 21st meeting of the Council of Ministers.
In more local stories, the inoculation of the booster vaccine for those who are above the age of 60 years is in the process successfully under the COVID immunization program. Accordingly, nearly 145,000 have been inoculated with the vaccine. Inoculation of the booster vaccine for frontline workers, including health workers, under the COVID immunization program was initiated first. The vaccination of the booster dose for those who are above the age of 60 in western and southern provinces and several districts including Anuradhapura and Ampara was commenced yesterday. The vaccination program for the persons above 60 years was conducted in several areas in the country today. A total of 29,727,827 vaccine doses have been inoculated in the country under the COVID immunization program. A total of 15,894,375 have been administered with the first dose, while 30,688,710 have received both the doses. Also, 144,742 persons have received the booster dose thus far. Meanwhile, the Director General of Health Service has confirmed 15 COVID-19 related deaths which had occurred yesterday. Minister Prasanna Ranathunga said that many steps have been taken to limit the passenger traffic at the Katunayaka International Airport. Complaints have been received over a delay in obtaining health statements from the passengers arriving into the country, and the President has been instructed to look into this issue urgently. Accordingly, a meeting in this regard was held with the participation of the Minister. The Director General of Health Services said that with 30 new additions, overall 60 public health inspectors will be deployed for the services at the airport. Separate counters will be introduced for fully vaccinated passengers as well as for other passengers. Accordingly, an online system has been introduced to fulfill these requirements without causing any delay.
Director General of Health Services Dr. Asela Gunawardana made remarks over the Pfizer booster dose which is currently being administered across the country.
The pill which is approved in the UK, which is using for the COVID-19, the mild and asymptomatic disease. This was discussed in our expert committee in the Ministry of Health, and their recommendation is to submit the dossiers to the NMRA for their approval. If the NMRA technical committee is approved this drug, then it will be registered in Sri Lanka. Then we can discuss again at the technical committee meeting whether we are allowing them this drug to be used in government hospital or the private hospital. So that is the decision that our technical committee sent to the Ministry of Health. They have asked to submit the dossiers to the NMRA for their formal approval. Now we have started giving the booster dose 60 and above citizens in several districts: Anuradhapura, Ampara, Colombo, Kalutara, Gampaha, Matara, Hambantota and Galle, where the most number of cases noticed during few weeks. And we will be rolling out this for the other parts of the country also. And again, we are going to immunize the people who are on immunosuppressive drugs, who have undergone transplant surgery, who are having chronic kidney diseases and so many other illnesses. The list is actually prepared by the relevant specialties of the specialties colleges. And I earnestly request from all the citizens who have got the 2 vaccines previously and who have completed 3 months and go and get the booster vaccination from the nearest hospital as well as from the MOH office or the clinic where they have organized for the booster vaccination.
Pediatrician Dr. Channa De Silva stressed that reopening of schools plays a significant role in both the physical and mental well-being of children. Now, he made these remarks at a media briefing held today.
Due to this COVID-19 pandemic, schools has been closed since last April, but now the stepwise manner schools are reopening, and from 22nd of November, rest of the classes also scheduled to be open, and that means all the classes of all the schools will be open very soon. So it is a very positive situations in terms of child health as well as their education. So obviously we know school is a place which give education to children, but not only the educations, it's a place where children develop their all the skills, especially their social skills, their interpersonal activities, as well as all these are important to development of these children as a future adults. So because of this school closure due to this COVID-19 pandemic, all these things are significantly impaired, and because of that children were restricted to homes mainly, and their recreational activities also are reduced. So because of that, some children face significant stress, as well as these aspects might definitely affect their long-term development as well. Some of these features, especially these adverse effects, might be we can see sometimes even few decades later. So it is very important to continue the normal functions of the schools, and it is very important to consider all the parents, adults at the moment. This is all of us responsibility to prevent the spread of this disease among the population, so in our country at this moment, because if the disease is again, the spread is increased, obviously we have to close schools again. Sometimes obviously children might be with sick children who are having the COVID-19 might be recorded in schools, but most of the time these children acquire the disease, contract the disease from the society, especially through the house with infected parent or adult. And according to the studies done in world, other countries, as well as publications of UNICEF, the child-to-child transmission of this COVID-19 at the school, especially the classroom premises, is very minimum in comparison to the adult-to-adult transmissions.
Now, in your weather update for tonight, the Met Department informs the naval and fisheries communities not to venture the sea areas extending from Mannar to Trincomalee via Kankasanture until tomorrow morning. Now, naval and fisheries communities operating in other sea areas have been advised to be vigilant in this regard. The Met Department has further indicated that the low-pressure area located to the northeast of the country in the Bay of Bengal is moving westwards and will reach South Andhra Pradesh and adjoining North Tamil Nadu coast. Several spells of showers will occur in western, Sabaragamu, central and northwestern provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Some parts in northern province are expected to experience heavy showers up to 100 millimeters, and several parts in northwestern and Anuradhapura district may experience heavy showers up to 50 millimeters. Showers or thunderstorms Thunder showers will occur at times in the sea area extending from Mannar via Kankasanture, Trincomalee and Batticaloa. The wind speed can increase up to 60 km per hour at times in the relevant sea areas. The wind speed in sea areas extending from Galle to Matara via Hambantota will be up to 55 km per hour. The Met Department has advised the general public to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. Well, that's it for tonight's primetime news bulletin here at Rupavahini ChannelEye, and until we meet again next time, do take care, stay safe and good night.
Good night.